What's up, guys and gals? It's the Tyrant here. Welcome back to Exploring Halo, and today we're taking on the mission Sacred Icon in Halo 2. Before I proceed any further into this, I have to tell you, I'm sure most of you know that Halo 2 is not my favorite Halo game, but despite that, Sacred Icon is an important mission to me because, to me, this is where the game really picks up and where I really start to have fun with it. So this mission's special. So the first thing I wanted to do here was using the blue trainer and also using assembly. I wanted to see if I could get on top of the Sentinel wall here. This is the same wall that you see at the end of the, or all throughout the missions Delta Halo and Regret in the distance. So when I got up here, here's what I saw. There's nothing beyond there. And this disappointed me a little bit because I was hoping that I could actually get to the portion where you take the gondola across to the other side. But no, it's not loaded yet. So obviously the second thing that I wanted to try here was to see if I could get to High Charity. Because if you remember from the last video, when High Charity appears, you can actually get to it. It's pretty awesome. It's an actual object along with the ships. Here, as I approach High Charity, I notice that very similar to the previous mission, it definitely seems to be getting larger. It definitely seems to be an object rather than part of the skybox, which definitely took me off guard here because I honestly thought it was just be part of the skybox, but it does look like it's an object that's actually there. Unfortunately, very similar to other missions in this game, when I go too far out, it just despawns me and it ends the mission. That sucks. I honestly thought that, since we could get to it in the previous mission, we could definitely get to it here too, but it doesn't look like that's the case. So what I wanted to see next is when we get down to the area where you have to activate all the mechanisms and fight off the Sentinel Enforcer, I wanted to see if I could simply clip through the wall and just, walk across and clip through the door in the next area just to see if it was loaded yet. Surprisingly, you actually can. The next part of the area doesn't have to load first. It's already there. You can clip to the door and you can go into the next area. There are no enemies here, so you can't really go too far into the mission. And unfortunately, if this is one of those things where if you hit a checkpoint while you're using the mod, it sort of just freezes you in place, so I can't drop down and actually attempt to see how far it can go. But you can actually get to this area just by clipping through the doors, but you do actually need to trigger a series of events to continue the mission. So that's what I did here. Now, this is my favorite part. So what I wanted to do first is, obviously, Tartarus gets scared, when he sees that Sentinel Enforcer attacking him. Oh, I'm sorry, Tartarus. So I wanted to see what happened to his ship. Where does he actually go? Where does the Phantom leave to? And so what I did here using the trainer is I kept going up to follow the Phantom. This was sort of a 2-for-1 for me here because I wanted to see if you could actually see over the walls in this part of the mission. And just like with the first area in the game, you can't see over the walls here. That's a shame. But you do get to see what happens to Tartarus's Phantom. And so it goes into this little area right over here, and it just sort of hovers around for a minute, like Tartarus doesn't know where he's going. I think it's hilarious. And then the Phantom just eventually disappears. So I figured that would be the case, but I just wanted to see where he ended up going. So I did think that was cool. But I'm still not done with this area yet because this is an area I've admired since I first started playing Halo 2 way back in the day, and I wanted to see if you could actually get to the bottom floor of this particular zone right here, or if there was a death barrier protecting it. As it turns out, you can. So there are multiple levels here. There's the area right below the gondola, of course. You can reach that. Nice little bridge type thing right there. And then there's another level, if you turn right here. So there's the big valley with the light in the middle of it, and then there's 2 upper platforms surrounding it. So I went ahead first to see if I could get to the actual upper platform itself. Yes, you can. Now I wanted to see if I could actually get to the part where you can get to the bottom where that light area is. And as it turns out, there is no death barrier. You can actually get down here, which I think is pretty awesome. Now, there is a barrier from the actual light itself, but you can get to this is the actual bottom floor. There's no death barrier that's going to kill you here, which I think is pretty cool. I did want to see if I could go all the way to the side where you see another little light column over there. And as it turns out, you can go there. That's pretty awesome. This is the thing. Like, when I saw this area for the first time, I thought, wouldn't this make an awesome multiplayer map? I mean, seriously, if you put some structures and so forth and just have, I mean, clearly you could have a map this size, so why not turn it into some sort of multiplayer map, a sort of an aerial map? I think that'd be kind of cool too, but I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below on that one. The next thing I wanted to see is what you could do when you got to the area where the pair of enforcers are fighting off the flood. And so, as it turns out, this area is actually, when you go outside, it's the same area that you were in before. It's just now it's a part of the mission. It's loaded in there. So you're in that part that we were in with the Valley of Light just previously. And so that's all that is. That didn't really surprise me. I figured that's what it was, but I wasn't entirely sure. The next thing I wanted to try is something that I know you guys wanted to see, and that's to see if you could get to the library once you can actually see it. To no shock here, it's a part of the skybox. This did not surprise me at all. It shouldn't surprise you, but what I noticed here for the first time and didn't notice previously were the ships off to the left. Now, these aren't actually ships per se. These are Sentinel factories, and you can actually see one crash later on in the mission, and I wanted to check that out too. And so finally I went ahead and I got to the last part of the mission, and you get to the part where you see the Sentinel factory just falling from the sky. This is the same Sentinel factory, I believe, that appears in Quarantine Zone that you have to go through later on, which is pretty awesome. So when you go over here, yeah, you can actually see the ship or the Sentinel factory sinking and exploding, and eventually it just sort of despawns out of frame. But I did think it was pretty cool. It's one of those subtle things that they have in this game that not everyone notices, but is a very eerie effect when you notice that there's a flood outbreak and just how effective their forces really are. I think that's pretty amazing. The last thing I wanted to do here, of course, was to see if I could get into the mission Quarantine Zone from Sacred Icon. And as it turns out, you can go through that big door. Obviously, there's the part where you're standing off against the flood is the staging area that you start in Quarantine Zone. You can clip through the door and you can go through the hallway, but when you're about to get to that large room where you eventually see the tank, it hasn't loaded yet. So you can get a little ways into Quarantine Zone, but not very far. So that's Exploring a Regret. I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions in the comments section below, and I want to take a moment to thank you all for taking the time out of your busy day to sit down and watch this video. I do hope that you enjoyed it, and if you did, I hope you'll consider subscribing for more great content right here on MythicTyrant.com. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all have a wonderful week. I'll catch you all right back here next time, and as always, I'm the Tyrant, signing off.